Republican Representative Steve King has some thoughts for us on Guantanamo Bay. This ought to be good.
Well, this is a great big problem for President Obama, who pledged in 2007 or 8 that he would close Gitmo. And he sticks with this mantra, which is, well, it inspires the enemy and encourages the enemy. And I could never agree with that statement. The Guantanamo Bay, and I've been there and visited Gitmo, it is a very humane establishment. They have air-conditioned rooms in a Caribbean island. I mean, that would make a terrific resort area there. They set the temperature at 75 degrees because that's their cultural temperature. They get the choice of 3 different choices of a meal 3 times a day. So they're looking at 9 halal meals that they get to pick from. I mean, everything is handled very, very humanely down there. And yet, these are the worst of the worst. These are the people that have either killed or tried to kill Americans, and we have the right under international law to keep them locked up for the duration of the conflict, which is not over by anybody's definition.
The level to which he's making shit up and doesn't know what he's talking about is off the charts. Totally off the charts. You're going to talk about international law while talking about Guantanamo Bay. Dude, you're violating principles of Magna Carta, which goes back to 1215. He's like, what do you mean? We're totally within inside the bounds of international law. I mean, right? Isn't that the way it works? No, you idiot. I mean, it is extrajudicial by its very nature to have something set up and go, individual rights, human rights, ability to contest the fact that you're locked up, due process, habeas corpus, having a trial. None of that. But what do you mean? No, the international law. We totally care about international law. Fucking invasion of Iraq was against international law. Don't take my word for it. Go look at the UN, which said it at the time. Like, I mean, you can't do that. But anyway. Oh, God. He just twists everything. All right, now, let's address some of the other claims he had there. Well, I mean, come on, this is the worst of the worst there. So what are you going to do? It's the worst of the worst. Again, a deeply, deeply ignorant guy, because there's been countless reports about the people who we locked up. You know what happened? The Bush administration cut a deal with people in Afghanistan and people in Pakistan, namely many warlords, and said to them, look, we just got attacked here on 9/11, and we set up this extrajudicial prison here. Hook a brother up and send me some Al-Qaeda people. What did these warlords do? Shocker, turns out Pakistani and Afghani warlords are not very trustworthy. They rounded up whoever the fuck their enemies were and they shipped them to us. They weren't Al-Qaeda. So we locked up innocent people and in many cases tortured them. And let's be clear, this is why due process is necessary. Like, it's not just an opinion that, due process is better. No, it is objectively better. Why? Because you need to have a trial to make sure you get the right people. The same idiots like Steve King who scream, the government never gets it right, when he talks about other areas, suddenly when it comes to locking people up indefinitely, he's like, are they Muslim? Okay, enough. That's enough. They're guilty enough. Lock them up. Throw away the key. The government's right. What do you mean these are the worst of the worst? No, they're not the worst of the worst. It's been proven they weren't the worst of the worst, but you were okay with keeping them locked up without knowing, which shows that he's willing to stoop to incredible lows because he feels like we're the good guys by definition, so no matter what we do is okay. So if we don't give you a trial, if we're not sure, well, we meant well, so it's a wash. It is what it is. No, it's not that. And he's still maintaining to this day that these are the worst of the worst, but the evidence shows the opposite. Again, innocent people captured by Afghani and Pakistani warlords. He also says, Obama keeps saying that this helps ISIS. That's not true. I don't know what he's talking about. Again, this has been proven. It's not an open question. So, for example, when ISIS was the first initial beheadings that they did on camera, and they made the guys wear orange jumpsuits when they did the beheading. You know why they wore the orange jumpsuits? They say, we're doing this because at Guantanamo Bay you made them wear jumpsuits. Now, you could argue, well, they're gonna do these bad things anyway because they're fundamentalists who are brainwashed. I agree with that. But the idea that it doesn't aid in recruitment and help them is nonsense. Of course it does. In fact, they're refusing to release many pictures from Guantanamo today for that exact reason. They say, we can't release these. These are really, really going to help the enemy because it's not pretty. But Steve goes, no, not at all. I don't know what you're talking about. This doesn't help the enemy in any way. He just wants to shove his head in the sand, again, because he believes we're the good guys by definition, so everything we do is okay and justified, and, when we do horrific violations of international law, it is what it is because we had to do it, and no, it's not helping the enemy, but again, it's been proven that it helps the enemy, helps aid their narrative endlessly. He says, it's very humane there because it's air-conditioned, and, they eat food, so we give them food. Get over it, stupid lib. Okay, dude, that's not an argument. He even said it's kind of almost like a resort. Yeah, it's like a fucking resort. Guantanamo Bay is like a fucking resort. I mean, look at the CIA torture report, for example. It's not like, has he not read it? Is he unaware of it? I mean, it's hilarious that he brings up it's air conditioned, so it's the right temperature. Because it's actually been proven that one of the things we did was hypothermia torture against people. So somebody ended up dying, and that person was innocent, by the way. So we put him in a cold cell, threw water on him, walked out, came back in the morning, and he was dead. And that's just one example. The list goes on and on. Remember, they did anal rape. They did anal rape. And then they called it anal feeding. They shoved a tube up somebody's ass and pumped food there and said, what do you mean? We're just feeding him. This is totally humane. They spoke to doctors. Doctors were like, that's not a thing. So they raped him in the worst ways imaginable, and then they were just like, well, no, it's totally fine. What do you mean? This is what we do. He's not eating, so we shove a tube up his ass. Pumped food up there. He was bleeding and everything. Well, what are you going to do? No, that's anal rape, you fucking sick monsters. They did mock burials. They did loud music torture. They did sleep deprivation. Obviously waterboarding, but that was probably the lower on the list of the egregious things they did. Again, he didn't read the torture report because he doesn't care. He doesn't fucking care because we did it, so shut the fuck up. So he's saying, what do you mean we're totally humane? What about all that stuff where we weren't humane? That doesn't count. But it does count. It does count. So Abu Ghraib is another example. I'm sure you guys have seen the pictures of Abu Ghraib and what we've done. I mean, this guy's an apologist for this kind of horrific crimes. For these horrific crimes. It's just a sick, sick thing that somebody exists in America in 2016 who can't wait to make us more brutal, more barbaric, more savage, and to cover it up anytime it's been shown that we are those things and still continue to do some of those things today.